There is a moment, and every great athlete knows it, even if they never speak it aloud, when the body stops lying to you. When the leaderboard doesn't feel like possibility anymore. It feels like a verdict. July 2026. The heat in the air above a sun-scorched fairway. The hush of a crowd that has watched this man walk through fire more times than any human being should be allowed to. And there he is, Tiger Woods, moving slowly, not in pain. At least, not the kind you can see on a scoreboard. This is something older, something heavier. The kind of pain that settles in the chest at 3 a.m. when the trophies are somewhere in storage and the person you love is waiting for an answer you've been postponing for 2 years. Because this isn't just about a ranking crisis. This is about a man standing at the edge of the only identity he has ever known and wondering, maybe for the first time with absolute seriousness, whether the green grass of Augusta, the roar of thousands, the pursuit of one more major, is worth what it costs. And what it costs is her. This is the story they aren't telling you on ESPN. This is the story behind the silence of Tiger Woods in July 2026. If you followed Tiger Woods for any part of your life, if you watched him as a child prodigy, a dominant force, a broken man, a comeback story, then drop a comment right now and tell me. Did you ever think we'd be here? Watching Tiger choose between golf and love? Because honestly, neither did I. And yet here we are. Before we go any further, if this kind of deep, emotional storytelling is what you've been looking for, hit that subscribe button. Not for the algorithm. For the next time something this important happens and you want to be the first to understand it, not just hear about it. Let's go back. Not to July 2026. Let's go back further, to the version of Tiger Woods that the world believed was permanent. Invincible. Immortal. There was a time when Eldrick Taunt Woods wasn't just a golfer. He was a religion. You didn't root for Tiger. You witnessed him. He didn't win tournaments. He dismantled them. He walked onto golf courses the way generals walk into rooms, with the silent certainty that the outcome has already been decided. Between 1997 and 2008, Tiger won 14 major championships. He rewired the way the entire sport thought about itself. Courses were redesigned because of him. Young men across the world picked up golf clubs because of him. An entire generation of athletes learned to visualize domination because they watched Tiger do it first. And then the world watched him fall. Not once, not cleanly, but in stages. In scandals and surgeries and moments where the man who once seemed made of steel revealed that underneath it all, he was terrifyingly, achingly human. The car crash, the personal collapse, the back surgeries, 5 of them, each one a negotiation with a body that had given everything and was quietly starting to ask for something back. But Tiger came back. He always came back. The 2019 Masters, that Sunday walk up the 18th fairway, the crowd pressing in on both sides like a river rushing toward the sea, remains one of the most emotionally overwhelming moments in the history of sports. Not because of what he shot, but because of what it meant. A man who had lost everything, including himself, had found his way back to the one place he understood, the golf course. What nobody talked about enough in 2019, what the cameras didn't linger on, what the commentators only briefly mentioned, was how alone he looked in that triumph. Surrounded by thousands, embraced by his children, and somehow still alone. Because the comeback had cost him relationships, privacy, and years. And the question that nobody dared ask in that golden, glorious moment was, is this enough? Is this still enough? Fast forward to 2024. Tiger meets Vanessa Trump, and something shifts. Now, the details of their relationship have been pieced together from interviews, social media breadcrumbs, and the kind of quiet, almost reluctant confirmation that comes from people who love each other but haven't quite figured out how to love each other publicly. What we know is this. Vanessa is not a woman who orbits celebrities. She is not dazzled by fame. She has lived inside the machinery of public life long enough to understand its cost. She is a mother. She is grounded. And by multiple accounts, she sees Tiger, not the icon, not the legend, not the brand, but the man. The tired, complicated, still searching man underneath all of it. And Tiger, for perhaps the first time in decades, let someone see that. Think about what that means for a moment. Tiger Woods has spent his entire life performing. Performing strength. Performing confidence. Performing recovery. The public version of Tiger has always been a carefully managed presentation. Fierce, disciplined, impenetrable. But with Vanessa, something different began to emerge. Those who have been close to the situation describe a Tiger who laughs more easily, who checks his phone not for tournament updates, but because he's waiting for a message, who has, on more than one occasion, shortened a practice session, something the old Tiger would have considered almost sinful, because there was somewhere else he wanted to be, someone else he wanted to be with. If you've ever loved someone who made you question the thing you built your whole life around, if you've ever stood at that crossroads, then you already understand what Tiger was beginning to feel. And if that's you, if you've been there, this story is yours too. Let it speak to you. Now we arrive at July 2026, and the ranking crisis. To understand why the rankings matter so much, not just strategically but psychologically, you have to understand what rankings represent to a competitor of Tiger's caliber. They are not just numbers. They are proof of existence. They are the sport's way of saying, you are still here, you are still relevant, you still matter. In July 2026, Tiger Woods fell outside the world's top 150 ranked golfers. For most professional golfers, this would be a career milestone, an achievement, even. For Tiger Woods, it was an earthquake. The media, predictably, descended. Was this the end? Was the body finally done? Had the accumulation of 1,000 yards of fairway walked on a spine that had been surgically reconstructed finally caught up with him? But those who were watching closely, those who were paying attention to the spaces between the statements, the pauses in the interviews, the eyes behind the sunglasses, saw something more complex than physical decline. They saw a man doing math, the kind of math that has nothing to do with strokes gained or driving distance. The kind of math that asks, what am I spending and what am I getting back? What am I missing and what does it cost to keep missing it? Because here's what the rankings story obscured. In the weeks leading up to July 2026, Tiger had been present. More present than he had been in years. He attended events with Vanessa that weren't golf events. He was photographed, genuinely photographed, not staged, laughing, relaxed. The kind of relaxed you only get when you're not performing for anyone. And then the tournament cycle called him back. And the body said no. And the rankings dropped. And the world said, Tiger is finished. But that wasn't the real story. The real story was happening in a quieter room, in a conversation that was months in the making, between a man and a woman who had both already survived one version of their lives falling apart, and were now, together, trying to figure out whether they were brave enough to build something entirely new. Here's where this gets complicated, and I want you to sit with the complexity rather than rush to a verdict, because this isn't a simple story and Tiger doesn't deserve a simple verdict. Golf is not just Tiger's career. It is his identity. It is the language his father taught him before he had words for loss or love. It is the place where the boy who grew up in Cypress, California, feeling different and driven and misunderstood, discovered that he was extraordinary. The golf course is the one place in the world where Tiger Woods has always known exactly who he is. To walk away from that, voluntarily, not because of injury, but because of choice, because of love, would be the most radical thing Tiger Woods has ever done. More radical than any comeback. More vulnerable than any press conference. Because comebacks are still about golf. Walking away for love is about something else entirely. It's about saying, I am more than this. I want more than this. And I choose, with full knowledge of what I'm giving up, to be more than the thing I was made to be. That's terrifying. For anyone. Imagine what it is for Tiger. At this point in the story, I have to ask you something directly. Do you think Tiger should walk away? Do you think love, at this stage of his life, is worth more than legacy? Or do you believe some people are simply born to keep going, to keep competing, until the body makes the decision for them? Leave your answer in the comments. I genuinely want to know what you think. Because this question, how much of yourself do you give to the thing you're great at, and how much do you reserve for the life outside it, is not just Tiger's question. It's all of ours. There's a version of July 2026 where Tiger plays through it, where he looks at the rankings, grits his teeth, adjusts his swing, re-enters the gym, and begins the familiar, brutal process of resurrection. It would be the 6th comeback, or the 7th. At this point, honestly, who's counting? And the world would cheer. Because we love the resurrection narrative. We are addicted to watching Tiger rise. But there's another version. And it's the one that the people closest to him seem to believe is more likely. A version where Tiger looks at the rankings and feels something unexpected, relief. The quiet, almost shameful relief of a man who has been waiting for permission to stop. Not permission from the public. Not permission from the PGA Tour. Permission from himself. Permission to say, I've done enough. I've proven enough. I've bled enough for this. And Vanessa who has watched, who has waited, who has loved him through a season of uncertainty and distance, and the particular loneliness of being in a relationship with someone who is never fully present because part of him is always on the course. Vanessa is not asking him to quit. She has never asked him to quit, but she is asking him, in the way that only the people who truly love us can ask, to choose, to be deliberate, to decide rather than default. And that question, that patient, loving, impossible question, landed on Tiger Woods in July 2026 with the full weight of 50 years of life. 50 years of championships and failures and surgeries and scandals and resurrections and loneliness, and now, finally, the terrifying, beautiful possibility of something quieter, something real, something that doesn't require a scorecard. If this moment, this emotional weight of being asked to finally choose yourself, moves something in you, then this video has done what it was made to do. It was made to remind you that even the greatest among us are still just people trying to figure out how to live. Let's talk about what walking away would actually mean. Not symbolically, practically. Tiger Woods has one major championship record within reach. He sits tied with Jack Nicklaus at 18 majors. For years, 19 was the number. The magic number. The number that would make the argument definitive, eternal, unchallengeable. Tiger versus Jack, and in the final ledger, Tiger wins. That's the dream. That's been the engine of every comeback, every painkiller, every dawn practice session, every surgery he signed consent forms for with hands that shook. 19 majors. One more. To walk away now, at 150 in the world, body compromised, ranking in freefall, is to walk away one short of the mountain's peak. And that knowledge would live inside him forever. The one that got away. The number that defined a rivalry and became, instead, a tie. Jack and Tiger, forever equal. Is Tiger capable of making peace with that? Here's what I believe. I believe that in 2019, Tiger would have told you, absolutely not. No, never. Not while there's breath in this body. But 2026 Tiger has lived 7 more years. 7 more years of pain. 7 more years of watching his children grow up in the peripheral vision of a schedule built around tournaments. 7 more years of the particular ache that comes from loving someone and not being able to be fully present for them. 7 more years of the world watching him, measuring him, defining him. And I think 2026 Tiger knows something 2019 Tiger didn't. He knows what it costs. Not to golf, to everything else. To the relationships. To the mornings. To the ordinary, unheroic, irreplaceable texture of a life actually lived. The last piece of this story, the piece that makes it not just a sports story but a human story, is Vanessa's role in it. Because she is not, in any version of this narrative, the villain. She is not the woman who took Tiger from golf. She is not the ultimatum. She is the invitation. There is a profound difference between someone who says, choose me or choose the game, and someone who says, I see who you are outside of the game, and I love that person, and I want to know if you're ready to meet him too. The first is a demand. The second is a mirror. And what Vanessa offered Tiger, according to everything that has been observed and reported from those close to the situation, was a mirror. A gentle, honest, unflinching mirror that showed him not the champion, not the comeback kid, not the brand, not the legend. Just the man. Tired. Worthy. Ready, maybe, to rest. That is a rare gift. And Tiger, who has received every trophy and endorsement and roar of adoration that the sporting world can offer, may have recognized it as the rarest thing he'd ever been given. So where does this leave us? Where does it leave Tiger? As of the information available, no official retirement announcement has been made. Tiger has not publicly confirmed that he is stepping away from professional golf, but the silences have grown longer. The tournament appearances have grown fewer. And those who know him, really know him, not the press conference version, describe a man who is, for the first time, not fighting to get back to the leaderboard. A man who is sitting with the question, living inside it, letting it breathe. Maybe he plays again. Maybe the competitive fire, that ancient, almost supernatural competitive fire, reignites, and he finds himself back on a Thursday morning, 7 a.m., stepping onto the first tee with the old electricity in his chest. Maybe the body cooperates one more time. Maybe there's one more major in him. Maybe there's 19. Or maybe, and this is the possibility that feels most quietly true, maybe Tiger Woods is finally learning to want something other than victory. Maybe he's learning to want presence, peace, a love that doesn't require him to bleed for it, a morning that doesn't start with a scorecard. Maybe, for the first time in his life, Tiger Woods is choosing to be ordinary. And maybe, just maybe, that is the most extraordinary thing he has ever done. Choices, your own crossroads, your own version of the question Vanessa asked him. Then this channel exists for you. Subscribe not because of the algorithm. Subscribe because stories like this one, stories that go beneath the headlines and sit with the human beings inside them, are what we're here to tell. Every week, with the same care and honesty we brought to this one, Tiger Woods may or may not play another round of professional golf. But what July 2026 revealed, whether he picks up the clubs or sets them down, is that even the greatest of us eventually arrives at the same place, standing in a quiet room, choosing what matters most, and hoping, with everything we have, that we're brave enough to mean it.